Hello, everyone. I'm just taking a moment to add the title for today's live, which is Post New Moon Check-In Tune-Ups. And thank you so much for being here present. I'm going to work on getting better about setting an announcement, especially on YouTube, because I'll definitely help out with letting you guys know ahead of time. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Today, I'm jumping on a little later or earlier, so to speak, with just this week's post new moon tune in. And so I was actually saying on here, definitely getting better about maybe presenting, because I see IG in the Restream has or YouTube has a scheduling option where you can kind of set up what when you plan on coming live, right, and getting together. And so today is just tuning in, especially with post new moon, post autumn equinox energy vibes, especially at least for me this past week. And it's also probably because I'm leading up to coming into my cycle next week. And at least with earlier on, with the autumn equinox, it was definitely I felt heavy, right? Or a lot of emotions were coming up, which it makes sense, especially because it has to do with a rebirthing and letting go of dying away of old things. And so just definitely wanting to come in tonight, I think it makes it really helpful when we celebrate in preparation for the cycles, the new moon, full moon. And then even that, we come together and do a gathering. Even in between those weeks, right? Especially the days afterwards, it kind of helps to, ground in, tune in where you are, and then even realigned, so that you go with the flow a little bit more smoother, right? Or even certain nuggets that we might hear come through for us might be able to help us just to okay, process what is our activations and initiations during the season right now, especially because as we are building up into the waxing phases of the moon, going into the full moon in the next weeks or so, right? Week and a half. And so this is just tuning in. And I always like to at least consciously take a deep breath, and that helps us just to ground exactly where we are, especially depending what time zone you're in. For me, it's 10:14 p.m. And just taking that deep breath in, maybe placing your hand over your heart space. And then opening up the mouth and exhaling, breathing out. And so if it's your first time, welcome. This is what I would say is this oracle, spending time with the oracle and messages, downloads that come through, at least in my waking life, walking life, and also in the collective from what I tend to pick up. And as you take another deep breath in, if you happen to be in the comfort of your own home, feel free to grab your own cleansing ally tool. And today I'm using a solar plexus, which is actually perfect in theme for today's message. And breathing out, and even drawing your awareness down towards your core, your abdomen. That's your solar plexus area. Releasing the breath. relaxing the shoulders, relaxing the arms. And if you want, you can just open up your gaze slowly if you've had them closed. And noticing the sound around you, if you were able to allow yourself to kind of ease into the space, into this moment. And so solar plexus, the reason why I kind of pulled that up, yeah. Especially because after coming off a new moon, what are your intentions? Feel free to comment down below, especially as we're here on the Restream YouTube, Twitch platform, as well as the IG. So I'll tend to look left to right here to share space. And one of the things, that has been coming up, especially for me and the beautiful community that I share space with, my friends, a lot of us are in, creation of our own businesses. It's about being consistent and harmonizing and balancing what is um, needed so that we can continue to grow. And when it comes to balancing, it's that like whole give and take energy, right? And where is it in your life that you feel, I would say more so, you know, have that courage and not feel ashamed. And I wrote about this today in this Instagram post over at divine.cosmic.empress on IG, where you don't feel like ashamed or too afraid to ask, or to even like visualize, dream, desire what it is that you're wanting. And not being ashamed either, because your vision and desire changes, because at every moment your desire is alive, right? And especially if it is evolving as it is, as you are, right? That's such an important thing to kind of realize and tune in, because I started praying this, like, you know what? Let my actions, my choices, my decisions be in alignment and towards what it is that feels most alive for me, especially when, I pray I'm not holding on to some older version or vision of myself, um, that by now, especially if it was a vision like a couple years ago, right? You've evolved. That is the highest aim. And because each journey or each part, what I would like to say, is kind of like that stop, destination, part A to part C, part D. It's not necessarily about like, attaining the goal. It's about, the journey and the process and the evolution that you're going through. And that just kind of like segments there, right? That's kind of one keynote. And so this is really more, I would say, the energy of, like community, the energy of like, what it is that you're needing to evolve. And one of the major things, with desire is, um, as an example to paint that picture, a lot of the people I've been working with, that either maybe you've been experiencing sort of trigger, right? Or some sort of like fear, dilemma, challenge in your life. And at first it is totally frustrating, or even when you kind of fall into the lower end of the energetic spectrum, it is, well, rather than thinking, oh, why is this happening to me? Or like looking at to the face value of like, oh, this person's really triggering me and getting to me right now, or has been, right? Depending on where you are on the wave of things. And something that made me think in response was like, actually, the triggers that and the challenges that are coming up actually is just a realization of, you know, the shaping, the testing of you in direction of where you're going. And as an example, it's as if, you are, and this is just a share from a friend. where they've been dealing with a particular client, and but yet, one, realizing, okay, awareness, is this client for you, right? um and realizing it, because maybe it's coming up, it's helping you to define what is it that your vibe, your tribe, um is. Sometimes we don't really necessarily put boundaries in terms of clarification of who are the type of people I want to associate myself with, who I think especially is going to help me in my growth. And again, not just me, take, but that I'll be able to reciprocate, and they'll be able to learn from me as well, right? Not everyone's medicine is for everybody to take. And I say that as a note too, because it's an example. Like, there's so many brands of like cereal, so many brands of medicine. Yeah, like and I'm probably, we want to use that like common brands, but just to pay, draw a picture. There are some people who like the store, not the store, they like the premium brands, right? Um, Brand name things. And then there are some people who, like, they can tell, or they refuse to taste and try out the like generic, or the other, like the store brand version of it, right? And there's some people who are okay with it. In any case, that's one aspect of things that might be coming up for you, like a trigger or challenge. And rather than allowing yourself to fight fire with fire, it is good and necessary to use that fire that kind of triggers you, and seeing, okay, what aspect of me needs to come into the space and respond, right? And this comes into balance when you think about the scales of Libra and your own initiations of what it is that you're needing, when you visualize who you want to be and as you want to show up, right? And even the major question is like, who do I want to be in this next season? How do I see myself evolving? And that's necessary to kind of visualize and know that desire too, because if not, then you're going to keep reacting in this like trauma cycle response. And so, as an example, too, touching note on that, diving deep into you, it's okay, when this trigger and response and challenge comes through, the wave is rising rather than me reacting right away. How is my initial reaction wanting to go? Am I like heated up and fired up and ready to aim back at you and shoot it back? Or are you more kind of like soft and you draw away? And then catching yourself in those moments, because you'll notice the repetitions and then the default habits that you go into. And especially when we talk about work and career, and your community with Libra, and harmony and justice, especially those are themes that are coming around in many different scopes, from the macro and then to the micro as well. Then you have what I would say, I'm just watching out for the sentence here, where realizing it, okay, what is my initial reaction? And is this what I want to continue to promote? Is this what I want to continue to fall into automatic default, autopilot? Or is this showing me that there's a potential for more? So a good practice is actually something, if you've heard of it before, scripting. Scripting allows you to write down the situation that you're wanting to, find a different way. Usually at first, it's like your mind, your ego only sees that one path, or really it's the body's reactions that reacts to old memories. And so you tend to repeat those cycles and habits. And then by scripting down the scenario and thinking about the other times maybe it's presented itself to you, okay, let me pause and think about it. If I tend to react and like withdraw and kind of my voice shrinks away and I'm a little bit shy, um, right? You don't feel empowered to speak up and vocalize yourself. Okay, how can you visualize yourself? How would you like to play it otherwise? How would you like it to go? What is your desire? Or say, scenario two, you reacted, you started spitting out words, fuming, you know, um, loud energy here, and you feel like you're gonna go a little bit overboard, or even thinking about how you felt, like, God, I didn't want to be so angry, right? I lost my shit. And that's also, definitely, warranted too, like free to realize, like, maybe I don't want to act like that. Like, how can I soften up? Like, how can I respond a little bit more with neutrality, right? With both a little bit of nice spice and then a little bit of that sweetness, right? The neutrality, the receptive mode. So you end up responding rather than overreacting, right? Or underreacting. Um, and I think with Jess' little pause, introducing just, yeah, well, pretty much soon we'll be introducing the oracles and see which one wants to speak through first. But point number 3, when you allow yourself to fall into your desires, and I think this is a major key right now, it's like your desires, and when you begin to and allow yourself to invest in yourself, that is such an important, um, I would say, a lesson, especially for a lot of us who are on the journey path of like expressing ourselves, or stepping into that journey of our own businesses and soul, what I would call soulpreneurship, right? Working the spiritual path and journey, bringing our healing work into fruition, into sharing those messages around. At first, it is possibly a little hard to kind of tune into your root of your desire. And that's something that I've been going through and working on most recently too, because usually we're so cut off from where, the sacral space, the sacral chakra, the energy, or your womb space, as um, in your divine feminine, right? And what sometimes, because we're so disconnected from those spaces, it just feels like you can't really feel what um, feels good for you, right? Or you found that you've lost that connection, so you become disconnected. And so even right now, as I just look at it here, I'm going to show it over IG first, but she's holding this, like, for me it's an egg. um, and so even right here you could see it, where she's holding an egg right there, right? It's like that Yoni egg. It's the egg. They say the egg of like birthing, that you're hatching something. But the egg is so small and like so small and sensitive and fragile at first, especially when it's in this birthing process. And if you're not gentle and aware of like how much pressure it actually takes to like hold this, you could say like in the palm of your hand, or a lot of times when we talk about it and through yoga, it's the sensation of your sit bones and feeling that energy of like the root, and then carrying that sensation throughout spaces that as you're moving and breathing. And with that desire, like if you can't feel that subtleness of what feels good for you, what is that feels alive for you in that moment, you end up either totally, not that you ever miss it again, it's as if you kind of, I'll have an example here in a moment. You either fall like complacent, kind of numb, right, to the moments that are called for you to respond, that's the major one, I would say. Like you kind of fall complacent or feel disconnected. The a big example I can kind of paint is when you have something you've been thinking about that you've been wanting to do. And case in point, my own personal journey where I'll say, you know what, I've been wanting to go on a trip. It's been a while since I've like vacationed, right? And I've been wanting to go on a retreat, like just physically go out somewhere, right? But what but in order to do that, first gotta look for the space. You first gotta like get out of your comfort zone and go online, look for the places. What is it that you're wanting? Where is it that you want to go? When you do find a space, when you do find an event, and then you find it, and then it's like, okay, there's a commitment involved. There's another action that needs to be taken, right? That requires you to submit your payment. That's one. But even before you go and submit it, you get to like the second, what I would kind of say, like, is it a barrier? Yeah. When things come up, are you gonna let this stop you, or are you gonna keep going? Or are you just gonna say no? It's too much for me right now. It's not the right timing. Like, when is it ever going to be the right timing? And it has a requirement of energy exchange regardless. Whether you pay it up now or you pay it up later, you're going to do it at some point, right? And then you go from like booking the space, and then it requires you to book your plane ticket. It requires you to book your hotel, like so many steps. Um, and and believe I alluded to this like last week's energy message, because it's coming back now, where when a challenge presents to you, right, a trigger, are you gonna let it defeat you, make you feel defeated, go back to your old ways where you feel disempowered and defeated, or are you gonna feel empowered towards change and show yourself that you are evolving, that you are transforming, you are no longer the person that you were before, right? Um, and I say that because if you don't practice that devotional self-care practice of nurturing yourself, giving yourself what it is that you're desiring, then if you don't do it, who's going to do it, right? And the universe responds to you. Abundance responds to you. Money responds to you. It really touches in so many wheelhouses of your life, of what you're receiving back. That all responds back to you if you trust and go with the flow. So your spirit, your desire, the house of passion for you, where your heart's desire is craving to go, or if you're a sacral, like that's where you feel it in your gut, or the excitement in your room, right? If you allow yourself to go in the moment of where spirit is calling you, right? Your higher self is looking for the adventure, looking for the experience, and you just trust step by step is going to be, rest is going to be given. That is in essence why we're here, right? Because it's a journey of an adventure. And if you don't take those steps, that's where you feel disconnected, disempowered again, where you feel not alive or excited, you're bored with life. And so those are just, kind of three things I would say, the major three things that have been coming up, that have, at least since the new moon, and with the whole autumn equinox, with things coming up. And honestly, energetically, I'm just starting to, feel a little bit more balanced in the physical body, except that, I have my own cycle coming through, so I tend to get a little bit tired about that. But emotionally, I'm starting to pick it back up, right? And this is just a reflection of like where you are energetically, physically, where are you energetically, emotionally, mentally, because maybe that's in those areas that your healings, your initiations, what you're going to be working through in the next couple of weeks, which we have a couple more weeks, right? having just gone into the new moon in Libra that are coming through. So if you've been feeling a pull and tug, adding in a little bit of just astrology, there's this pull and tug with like the Jupiter and like Mars energies going through. And I actually have playing something here. Called Alpha Sinus Binaural System Wave Beats. You might not be able to hear it. It's probably a little low here, but yes. Just know if you were to take that step in alignment, not of the ego-based like fear of wanting to protect you, right, from your growth and your next level of expansion. But if you follow your heart and trust that in faith, just go with it, have fun with it, right? How can you soften the edges a little bit, knowing that this thing is coming up for you and you feel nerves, or like even if the nervous system is overly excited, that can be overwhelming, bringing it back down, calming those embers, the fires, and just seeing what is Jupiter helping to expand for you, what is coming through. And also a key note, just realize and be aware that, hey, you're one thing that, or a couple of things you've had your own perspective on for a while might change. And that's a great thing to welcome in. And realize that no person, major lesson, is an island. Someone actually reminded me today that in your own spiritual personal journeys, you can only go so far. But when two or more are gathered, as they say, that's when the powers, the prayers are heard even more so. The intentions, the synchronicities and the miracles that come through after those prayers, the energy of that is amplified so much so that it goes at a faster rate. You receive it a little bit more, especially because when you feel held through a community and allow yourself to open up and realize it is totally safe to open yourself up and take up space and hold yourself, and you make space for yourself first by acknowledging your vessel, what it is that you're needing, nurturing yourself. That is when someone else would be also to assist you in nurturing you, supporting you. And and just anything else coming through. And even if anything resonates, feel free to comment down below. And I would say, yes, community is something to draw awareness to the next couple weeks. Your own needs, as we might, the shadow side feel like we are triggered and wanting to deliver justice in our own way, right? But sometimes it's not the initial perspective that you feel like, this is the way I should pass judgment, well, no, we're reacting. Let's tone it back down, take a moment and really say, what is the highest self of you, highest version of you, really bringing in right from the perspective of spirit. And that'll help you to bring, harmony between you and the other, because there's so many more ways in terms of how we actually connect, then are there more things that actually separate us, right? Because remember, ego and fear is what wants us to feel like we're separated, but really we have so many more things in common. So just as a major keynotes to remember in the next week and coming weeks. And so I'm just tuning in to see once it comes through for today. And I had two card oracles that wanted to share their message. And I invite you like where you are, and if you're just listening, maybe thinking about what's the most present thing that's been coming up for you, and just holding that thought, bringing that into mind question. Even throughout the whole entire time you've been here sharing space, whether you're in live or watching the recording, what is that thing that's been just coming up to your mind, your third eye, your heart? And, just letting whatever the guidance comes through. And I feel like it's always aimed for the collective and then always just evolving. And that also includes for me as well. And then just breathing out, allowing yourself to just tune in and always taking what serves you. Maybe later it'll evolve and connect to you. And let that be just for us all. All right. So we have it might be a little bit harder to see here. I'll try. So it's a lot of yellows here. It's probably a little bit harder to see in the sense of the coloration, but you have a lot of yellows here. You have purple. Interesting enough, this card is called the Solar Plexus Chakra Radiant Illumination. This card is from the Remembering Lemuria, Beyond Lemuria, excuse me, Beyond Lemuria Oracle card. And this is in connection to, I like to think like our galactic self, right? What is the higher self, the energy wanting to come through and share? Um, so when we think about light and information, helping us to evolve and transform, even in the signs and the symbols, and just so I can share it over here too. I see a lot of this like wavering up from the side. So almost like I have a flower moving through in waves, right? At the very bottom, you have a star seed right down below. And what is it that you're holding in here? And when you go up from expansion from like down low purple colors base, and then you rise and rise and rise and rise, what is it that's coming through and blossoming? It says here that the solar plexus is the radiant center of your being. It holds the vibrant spark that brings your passions to life. Enter the space to step away from playing small, from unworthiness, the idea that you're taking a space in insecurity based competitiveness. Enter the space of your solar plexus, right? That's the seat of where you take action from. It's like your fire. I keep hearing a lot about the word, and it's probably not where it's located, but the Dantian, right? It's like this energy that like we pull through and we move towards action. And so enter the space to step away from when you're feeling playing small, like you're feeling you're unworthy, and the idea that you're taking up space. And that this is not a bad thing that you're taking up space. We all have our own space. And I always pray and visualize how in the Earth's crystal grid, we all are crystal channels and hold and anchor the energy, right, with purpose. And also enter these spaces when you feel this insecurity based competitiveness, when you're in an environment situation, environment, especially when we talk about like groups with Libra. It's like, maybe you feel, and I've read this somewhere before too, that you only notice or begin to think, the mind begins to think that you're less than anybody else because you start comparing. Until then, nothing is good, nothing is evil, nothing is wrong, nothing's right. It's until you start comparing two things. That's when that thought or that emotion comes up. And if you can bring it back to your center and realize, you know what, that is not actually true, and true with a capital T, right? That is not the highest truth. And so allow yourself to be attuned to the abundant life force that resides at your center, and be energized and motivated and fueled with inspiration. Bring forth more of what you wish to birth, the Yoni Egg, in the world, as you discover a deep and real sense of self-empowerment. You can confidently lift others in celebration. You give just as much as you receive in community. Harmonizing differences and shifting hierarchical paradigms into collective co-creation. And harmonizing differences is the perfect thing, especially if you have a wound when it comes to opening yourself up and feeling like you can't be heard, or you're not heard enough in social settings, right? Or within family, or the work environment. And shifting hierarchical paradigms means elaborating on that. When you take people off, it'll also help to take people off the pedestal. Again, that goes back to like judgment and contrasting, comparing yourself to others and etc., everyone to each other. Realize that perspective shift. The person you might be holding in such high regard and a pedestal is just a person who's probably just been doing the thing, that you're wanting to do, or in that environment, or etc., just a little bit longer than you. Just as a paradigm perspective shift. And this one, just to help you have an awareness of like what comes up for you, right? Stepping through is this next one. Here I feel like, yeah, I definitely see lilies, which is funny because that's my favorite flower. And lilies of transformation. Lilies give off a really strong aroma. And it's probably like an aroma that you need to like get used to, which is, but they grow so beautifully. They blossom beautifully, their colors, when you notice them. And she's even expressing, and you can even take that metaphor, like in this little depiction here with this card, she's stepping through, right? She's releasing this aroma, and it's very powerful because it's also coming through the vibration of like bubbles, star, and the mark above right there, at the center of her chest, which I always associate the Margot with the light body. And her crown is aligned, so it's activated, it is on, there's no blockage coming here, your heart chakra is opening. So when you allow yourself to take up space from the solar plexus, if we take that guidance, if you allow yourself to breathe into your body and notice exactly when those reactions and the triggers come through for you, if you can feel into your body how you're feeling, like, do you feel constricted? Do you feel small? Or do you feel like you're so up in your head that, again, you're in the irrational state and just throwing fire for fire, right? When you come and bring it down and you bring the harmony back, the energy into your body between heaven and earth, which is the crown, higher realms of the chakras, the throat, the third eye, and then ground the energy low, solar plexus, the sacral, and the feet, the root chakra. That's when you enter through the heart space portal, you have harmony between both, right? sections. And with this, your energy, your aura is balanced. That aura begins to surround you. And not only do you shine just not by forcing yourself, but just by being, right? And it's such a beautiful thing because, again, there's a little bit of you to just step forward when you realize that energy, right? And a lot of times you can use like affirmations, visualizations. I work a lot with just seeing and visualizing the energy around me that helps. Breathing practices, grounding physically, that will help you to feel that embodiment, to feel safe enough just to, let me just be without pressure, right? She's also rising from down below, Lotus. And we have stepping through. Step in and step all those dreams or projects you have been resisting. Step in and step up all those dreams or projects that you have been resisting. Now is the time to start, even if it is just one small element of the bigger picture. No more excuses or tomorrows. And I laugh because I said this today, tomorrow, yesterday, right? From now on, continue to take aligned action steps and even pray, like, what is the alignment? What's the most aligned step that I need to take for me right now? That's just a little bit of a nudge that I need to encourage myself to do. Even at first, like, no, I'm not feeling like I want to do this. Like, especially because it's the ego mind. I don't want to get up and get out and go practice yoga. I don't want to get up and go out and go to the gym, right? That type of feeling. I don't want to get up and go out and do this, do that. Encourage yourself to do it, right? Because it's that one step that's leading to the next that will help you open the door to more. Whatever you have been putting off, the universe is now pushing you to make it happen. You may feel a little outside of your comfort zone right now, or will be, but this is where the magic is. You may need to plot a course, invent a way through, or take a leap. Break it down. Allow the puzzle to come together piece by piece through the courageous act of making a start. Just start already. Just start. And if it helps, I think about when I make travel plans. Usually it's okay to plan the whole thing. Yeah. But even sometimes make room for spirit, because when you plan a little bit here, a little bit there, and allow spirit to fill in the rest, it becomes a lot easier because you're not having to try to grasp everything and do it yourself. And so even like, for example, right now, like I'm getting ready to go on a trip. I honestly booked what I could like last minute, and everything came through. I already had the income for the resources for the ticket. I, found a place that was exactly where I wanted it to be energetically. I didn't want to be too far away. Setting boundaries, didn't want to, drive a whole lot because I wouldn't be driving anyways, right? It just didn't make sense to go so far away. And then the last part that I've been praying over is like, okay, I have everything else. Now I just need a ride from the airport to the location, right? And I've just been praying, like, spirit, fill in the gap. Hopefully I'm able to get a ride share, and that actually came through today. And so just realize again, and this came up a week ago, you don't have to have everything planned out, especially when you're working in the realm of spirit and on your spiritual journey. Allow some room for mystery and play. And the final oracle that wants to come through is my favorite that I have a connection. Again, it's a very galactic message coming through. This is the Star Temple oracle. This is from the Palladian Star Sisters. They are 7 star sisters. 7 star sisters. All also have a connection and representing with the chakras. And then also give some insight towards what it is that we might be needing to clear up, especially like when we touched base on chakras earlier today. What could be perhaps impacting our spaces right now, or we might need some rebalancing energy support. So we have the inner temple, life lessons. I go within my shadow for deep spiritual growth. So this one might be a little bit harder to see. So this is Solano. So I believe, and then I'll definitely double check, but she is green. So that's a major keynote with Solano, Star Sister, the inner temple. She's essentially surrounded herself with a lot of candles all around her. She's holding her little totem, the skull. She's wearing black, so you can get this idea of her just drawing into her sacred space, whatever it is that makes you feel cozy and warm, right? That makes you feel like you're just going back to like nurturing yourself. What silks can you wear? What can you set up around your space so that whole environment and your senses just draw within and inward rather than having the mind go in so million directions, but even be centered exactly where you are and drawing awareness to that. So Solano in the Oracle 20, and just to, yep. So she is the heart chakra related. So you think about the Merkaba. Crystal association is jade. And so Solano is like, I go within my shadow for deep spiritual growth. Keywords or star words are growth, echo, glow. Embrace and integrate both the light and the dark within. So that goes back to embrace and integrate the two expressions that are coming through the overly expressive, yang, masculine, overbearing type of like energy, and the I like to say more passive, underreactive yin, like, and I'm talking not the balanced versions of those two energies, but the ones where they're not at the most 100% harmonious states. Solano encourages you to dive deep into your shadow to discover the limiting beliefs, sabotaging behaviors, and patterns that no longer serve you. Face your shadow with an open heart. Be authentic, but don't beat yourself up. Heal your core with self compassion and have gratitude for the lessons and blessings. As within, so without, and meditation brings awareness. So, awareness is key. Answers in peace. Your inner oracle endorses devotional prayer. Prayerful, intuitive meditation practice will fast track your spiritual growth. And so, definitely right now, if that's where you are, wherever that is, don't feel afraid. Don't forget, actually, that one of the most strongest spiritual practice that you can do is prayer, because that is actually sending a vibration out there for assistance from your higher selves, your angels, your guides. And that definitely helps to fast track. Again, community too is also not just in the physical world, it is also in the spiritual. It is in your spirit guides, your allies just waiting for you to tune in and ask for help and guidance. And the last one, because that did come through, is actually also Solano too, but a different variation. So this one is baby Solano. She's like levitating on the moon pearl. Inner child. Yeah, the holy child. And with the Solano, so much heart energy. And so you can even notice it, like, as soon as you look at that, like, what will you gain when you go within and just like bring harmony to what's coming up for you? What will be coming up? And I always like to kind of touch bases on whatever energetic scale you might be feeling. You know, everyone's in a different area. But this one here says, the Holy Child, Starseed. I am a divine child of the universe. And so, why wouldn't you, tap into your prayer power and ask for your guides and assistance to come through and to advocate for you, to fill in the blanks, just like I was saying earlier before. Um, when those moments when you don't even know how it's going to happen and pull through, but you know what, this is what I'm feeling, my desire and my nudge is coming through for me to take action on. And I pray that, once I do that, you'll show in response to my faithful action and devotion, right? That you'll show me, you're respond, the universe will respond, you're wanting to, somebody to catch you when you take that leap off the cliff, so to speak. And just to highlight, going back to Solano and this version of the Holy Child, star words are elevate, starry eyed, assignment. You are a celestial child of the cosmos with a dedicated dual mission to elevate your own spiritual awareness as well as the collective consciousness. So, as within, so without. The work you do for yourself, especially when you allow yourself to, you know, enjoy self pleasure, realize what that is, nurture yourself on a collective level that resonates, like we were mentioning, the auric field and the vibrations that are sent out, that the earth picks that up, and the rest of the collective picks that up because you show up differently. That changes onto the next person in subtle ways, right? Even vibrationally, subconsciously. And you are an ancient soul with a divine calling to awaken humanity for the highest good. Know that your noble assignment is divinely guided by the Sisters of the Pleiades, which is a Taurus star system. Solano helps you to realize that you are a holy child, destined to be a channel of light and love, irrespective of your childhood. Recognize that you are an expression of divinity and a leading light in the world. And just to share on the final note, that definitely is coming up for me where my own triggers have been arising around community, around my own experience with like female circles, right, and women, um, and maybe feeling like less than, just to share some vulnerability. But then again, going back to realizing that who are you in your highest truth and your divine light, right? And as a holy child, star seed, you're a child of the universe. And you have the authority, the power, and the grace for change to ask for divine guidance and strength, and also script out, visualize how it is that you want it to go differently. You do not have to be, and you can affirm this for yourself, I do not have to be, my experiences do not make me, do not define me. And so from here on out, this is how I choose to define myself. This is how I want to see myself. And this is what I pray that I have the inner strength as I tune into my Dantian and my solar plexus, right? My heart space of grace for change, that I can go forward and take that action. Even if it's in the most subtlest way, it's enough to push me past my old habits and realize in due time, small baby steps, slow and steady is what wins the race, right? That is what will create long lasting success and change. That is what will help you keep the weight off when you hold that practice over and over again and keep maintaining it, right? And so thank you so much for tuning in today. I know it was a little bit longer, but hey, it came full circle. And I do definitely pray that this message resonates. If it does, comment below. Even feel free to come onto the IG, Instagram, and comment on the IG page, divine.cosmic.empress. And then I also will post this up on my YouTube channel, Smiling Guerrero Divine Cosmic Journey. And thank you so much. And I pray you guys have a beautiful week. We'll come back for next Tuesday for hanging out with the Oracle and the energies that are coming through right before we go into celebration for the full moon in Aries. Powerful fire. And so thank you so much and have a great night.